Why did the Boy Scouts disappear? On May 7th, 2024, the Boy Scouts of America announced that after 115 years, the organization would change its name to Scouting America. So, why did the Boy Scouts abandon their old name? And in order to understand this, we need to understand why they were formed in the first place. Starting in 1910, the Boy Scouts emerged from a need to save lost boys from city slums, teaching them virtues like patriotism, honesty, courage, and self-reliance. Its founders envisioned an organization that combined a boy's craving for heroism with a code of chivalry, all wrapped in the lure of the great outdoors. The early Boy Scouts understood that masculinity was both self-sacrificing and ennobling. And this spirit of duty and selflessness was at the core of what it meant to be a scout. And for well over half a century, the value of an all-boys organization was self-evident to pretty much everyone. However, beginning in the late 60s and early 70s, things began to change. In just one generation, America witnessed the subtle disintegration of traditional family structures. And this collapse of the family was accompanied by a devaluation of traditional masculinity. And culturally, positive male role models practically disappeared from TV shows, being replaced by men as either idiots or villains. Politically, the state and federal governments decided to actively promote one sex at the detriment of another. And amidst these massive social changes, the Boy Scouts faced increasing pressure to adapt. The push for relevance began in the 1970s and 80s, leading to the first wave of erasing the original purpose of the Boy Scouts. Woodcraft skills were replaced by things like urban survival tips, and scoutmasters became little more than camp counselors. By the 1990s and early 2000s, the writing was on the wall. The Boy Scouts of America was deemed too wholesome, too patriotic, and above all, way too masculine. Ultimately, the demand for tolerance and inclusivity became the organization's Achilles heel. Left-wing advocacy groups and legal challenges pressured the Boy Scouts to drop their emphasis on raising boys, change their hiring practices, and eventually renounce the very purpose of the organization's existence. By 2018, the Boy Scouts of America had renounced its mission of developing selfless, self-reliant men. The final step in this transformation was the removal of boy from the organization's name. The Boy Scouts' shift toward inclusivity and diversity came at the expense of its core mission and values. The original Scouts were dedicated to outward focus, universal ideals, and selfless values. They were patriotic and volunteer-driven rather than being encumbered by bureaucracy and identity politics. So here's the question. Now that all these changes have taken place, are boys better off now that the Boy Scouts have abandoned masculinity? What about girls? Are they better off? How about society in general? The answer is no. It turns out that an organization dedicated to teaching boys about the proper role of masculinity within society was better for everyone, and erasing it was better for no one. Do you have a why you would like us to answer? Go into the link in the description and pose your question, and maybe the next Why Minutes will be dedicated to you.